Hey everybody, I wanted to get into a part of my police history when it comes to talking about the greater than human intelligence that we have developed, known as artificial intelligence. And one thing I wanted to talk about is maybe trying to get a conversation going about how it's going to, they say it's going to actually make us better, where we're not going to be so burdened by maybe some of the memory usage that we had to use, and now we'll be able to open that next level up because it will always be listening, paying attention. It'll remind us of where we are. It'll remind us of what we wanted to do next, so we don't have to retain that, so we're able to think more globally and maybe develop things that have never been thought of or developed, become even more creative than we maybe already are. I remember when I was a new police officer, the first division I worked was North Hollywood, and for most of it, until you got south of Ventura Boulevard, everything was kind of normal. The streets ran north, south, east, and west. There were some streets that ran a little bit off those particular direction points, but for the most part, pretty much everything ran kind of easy. If you ever look at Palmdale, for example, the way that that's laid out, it's on mile grids, and you have R streets and S streets. Everything starts kind of at Z at the furthest point of Palmdale and goes all the way to A, which is the furthest northern point, and it switches from Los Angeles County to Kern County. So it's all laid out in a nice grid, right? And there are some areas and neighborhoods that the roads aren't straight and at 90-degree angles. Get that. When you go south of Ventura Boulevard, North Hollywood was on probation. Again, when you get south of Ventura, everything kind of changes. The streets are in the hills there. They're no longer north, south, east, west. Bringing me to my point. The next division I went to was Northeast Division. They have a place called Mount Washington. And as a scenario, the training officer that you were working with, and even if you were a brand new P2, they might play this game. Oh my God, I've been shot. Where are we? Do a broadcast. And basically your partner is saying that they've just got shot, we've got an ambush, they've taken a bullet, we need people here. And if you hadn't been paying attention as a brand new police officer, you're going to get chastised and yelled at because now you're an officer safety risk. Having to retain that in your brain was part of the job. Now, I'm not sure how they do it. I know they use mapping and GPS, but back then we had a paper map called an RD map, and we would flip through and we would find where we were, and then we would be able to call in perimeters and establish if we were chasing somebody where other units have to go. And of course, the longer you were in a division, the better you were at that. With artificial intelligence, it's going to break all of that up. I remember that we used to have to memorize phone numbers as a kid. I remember the first phone number I had memorized was my home number. It's no longer in service because the New Mexican area code actually changed in that particular place where I grew up, but I do retain the number. As far as today goes, I might retain 2 or 3 because it's always in my phone, so I don't have to waste my memory on that. But I don't know if that's a good thing. As far as remembering locations and addresses, I still try to challenge myself. If somebody says, hey, I want to go to Chinatown in LA, I know how to get to Chinatown. Now, it might not be the fastest way because I don't know how traffic happens to be. So then people use apps, the MapQuest, well, not MapQuest, but the Apple app and the mapping and then the Google Maps and those sorts of things and Waze, to try to circumvent traffic and get there even faster, which, just recalling it from memory, I don't have the access point to find out what traffic is because I'm operating in my own head. Now, while that's more advantageous, I'm wondering if that's going to make us somewhat not as sharp in the future because we don't have to have those abilities. And I know that the newer generations have never had to even experience that, trying to recall, because whenever I'm sitting with somebody in their car and they're wanting to go someplace, they automatically punch it into the map and then they follow it just like a robot would. I don't know if that's good, but that is something that artificial intelligence is bringing, and pretty soon we're all going to be so connected that we won't really have to have much of a memory about anything. But then are we going to task ourselves with being more creative, more intelligent, learning more? Basically, instead of being more lazy, is it going to make us more productive? That I don't know. The other thing is as we watch the development, people are talking about how there's going to be massive economic displacement as far as people that work for a living. if you happen to have a job, any job more than likely, once they get the robots really dialed in, it's going to be difficult to probably be able to have yourself one up an actual robot that is powered by the greater than human intelligence, which is this new entity that we've created known as artificial intelligence. Something to worry about? I don't know where that displacement's going to go. Everybody says, well, you have to prepare for artificial intelligence. You have to get ready. You have to know how to use it, know how to learn it and understand it so you can deploy it. Well, if you don't have a job, what are we going to be deploying it for? If you don't have an employer, what are you going to be using it for? Now, of course, everybody says, well, now's the time. You can be an entrepreneur. You can learn about artificial intelligence and you can go try to help businesses build their business. I'm in real estate. That's my lifestyle. Absolutely, I can talk to other agents about how to best implement artificial intelligence in their advertising and marketing within their own real estate business. How to push content, how to do videos, how to best prepare to sell their sellers' residences, how to best attract buyers, how to talk about the market using artificial intelligence, having it put together these Pulitzer Prize winning scripts so they're able to act them out on video. And oh, you don't even have to act them out on video anymore. I can show you how to clone yourself so you look like yourself, talk like yourself, and then experience and make the video. Or if you have a face that is best for radio, then maybe you have an artificial intelligence person actually create it for you, one of those AI actors. They do it and they put it out there. And in most cases, they're getting to such a point, it's very difficult to tell whether it's AI generated or human generated. If somebody has the hair, you can kind of see the hair glitching, kind of moving back and forth. But again, I think that part of the process should be, and correct me if I'm wrong, it should be that everything that's generated by artificial intelligence carries some kind of a label that basically states this was made by artificial intelligence, and maybe have some kind of a scale going from 0 to 100%, maybe a color coordinated scale or something else that would indicate how much of this was developed and built by artificial intelligence. Maybe that's where we need to be and where we need to be thinking, because also ethically, there hasn't been a lot of discussion as we had the DeepSeek thing. If you've been watching any of the other AI people out there that are really dug into this industry, speaking about it in a very different way, we had a Chinese company called DeepSeek actually make the O1 model, which is OpenAI, better. And of course, I don't know if there was a lot of infringement. I don't know if they did take the data that people are talking about and basically had it learn that model by asking a whole bunch of questions. I forgot what that was called, but basically learning it, because when they were asking DeepSeek who you are or identification type questions, it did say that it was OpenAI. Is there a lawsuit there? I don't know. Are they going to go after them? Are they going to be able to get China to pony up and all that stuff? I don't know. I don't know how valuable intellectual property from America is in China, because I remember back in the day as a new cop, we were finding all sorts of stuff made in China that had all these different brandings like Disney and Louis Vuitton and all of these other very expensive brands, but made in China, and it wasn't actually those products. So we had that intellectual fraud as a street cop. You took it all, you booked it all into evidence, you arrested whoever you need to arrest if it was stolen property. But beyond that, I don't know where those cases ever went. I don't know if there is going to be a case between OpenAI and DeepSeek, but from what I see, that they're able to do what O1 is able to do, with a lot less in power, a lot less in work, and a lot less money. Now, of course, they copied a lot of stuff. And when you get that kind of advantage, instead of having to create everything new out of the box, and I guess from what I understand, Google was the actual first one that came up with the transformer model, making AI possible. And I'm sure at some point in the future, we'll have something even better than a transformer model, but then somebody else ran with it. Google kind of didn't at that point. But you know, they're doing great with their Gemini product and these other things, and it all seems to be moving very quickly. Point being is this: because it is moving so fast, and because now there's been all this money injected by the US government via private resources and also their resources, they're building these mega data centers. Is that going to be enough to keep us on top? And is that going to be enough to keep everybody in second place? Even if we build the biggest data center in the world, but we lack the intelligence or ability or motivation. When you have a rifle pointed to your head, it's amazing what that person holding the rifle can have a person do. Now, that's if who they're dealing with is receptive or responsive. Some people just don't care, and that's when you start to bridge crazy. But backing up a little bit, ours is done with a lot of money and a lot of dinner parties and a lot of talking shop and a lot of that nudging and, you know, the bro club and all this stuff. I don't see that happening in some of these countries that operate under a different system. Now, they do say that, you know, necessity and invention run together. And if you have to do something, usually you'll work a lot hard because you have to versus getting to. And it'll be curious the way this plays out here over the next several months to see what actually happens. And I know people are talking about artificial general intelligence, which, mark my words, if that is achieved, whatever that really means, and I believe from what I understand and I hear the fancy people talking, to them that means that it's going to be able to do everything we can do, and there's not going to be able to be any sign or symptom that they're actually not human, that they're actually 100% human. They'll be able to do a Zoom call with us. They'll be able to call us up on the telephone, and it won't be one of those uncomfortable exchanges. They'll actually talk like I would talk to you if you called, asking about your mom, your sister, your brothers, and how your family's doing, talking about your latest trip to White Sands, New Mexico, and then how you liked fishing at Caballo Lake, as I remember as a kid, if it's even there. But those are the sorts of things that the system should be able to generate, and it'll fool all of us. Should there be some kind of mechanism? Should there be some graph, or should there be some indication that it was developed by AI? In closing, I'll tell you this. Personally, when I see and I'm watching a video, some of them have really good information, so I overlook whether I think it was made by AI or not made by AI. But when somebody's doing a video and it is them trying to fool us into thinking they're AI, and maybe they're too busy, maybe they're doing this because they're going to be able to grab more attention and these sorts of things, it is a little irritating. And once I figure that out, even if they have probably really good stuff to share, I listen in a limited capability. I kind of pull back a little bit because I feel offended that they didn't tell me that they're going to be making this entire thing by artificial intelligence. For today's show, my preparation has been watching a lot of other YouTubers and reading a lot of information online, watching the X feed, which I have it dialed into artificial intelligence, and looking at all the new videos. Then I capture and I grab my experience from when I was a cop, as I am now a real estate agent, still a real estate agent, talking about marketing and advertising and bringing that whole thing into the discussion with regard to artificial intelligence. I'm Connor with Honor. When you're ready, I was going to do the real estate closing. Never mind. Please comment and let me know what you thought and what your ideas are. I know a few days ago, I keep talking about it because it's one of the few comments I ever get, but it was a programmer talking about artificial intelligence. He or her thinking that it's not going to go as fast as some people think. And you got Altman saying this is the year of AGI, artificial general intelligence. And if that development happens, artificial super godlike end of the end of a lot of stuff intelligence isn't going to be far behind, because the model itself, from what I gather, is going to be perfect at making itself better. And while it could be a utopia for human beings, it's only going to be a utopia if we have those particular entities valuing human life more than we do. I'm Connor with Honor. We'll see you in the next one.